Okay, I'm going to do my review on this Junsun, Junsun T-style radio. It's supposed to come equipped with Android Auto and Apple Play. And I've had it for about 8-9 months, and it's horrible. It is the worst spent money I've spent to date on this vehicle. Unfortunately, I ran out of time in returning it back. I try to work with tech support, but it's worthless. And I will go on to explain all the features and what my take is. Now, I have my cell phone here that links to the screen. It's supposed to only link via the data cable. Okay. I did buy a dongle that makes it wirelessly, but even with the data cable or the dongle, it could take up to 3 minutes to connect. It's very, very buggy with the software, and it has to do with the unit. Another thing is the unit has apps installed. When it starts up, it automatically loads Waze app from the unit, not your cell phone. So the problem with that is there's no Wi-Fi or cell phone tower access to the unit. So you have to connect the unit to your Wi-Fi hotspot on your phone. So it eats up your Wi-Fi hotspot data. Now, if you connect it to the cable and you use your Waze on your phone, then it will mirror it and it'll only use your data from your phone, not your Wi-Fi hotspot. Again, the problem with that is that you'll be using your Waze on your phone, not on the radio. So think of the radio as two parts. Either you can use the Waze on the radio and you can listen to your radio, or you can use the Waze on your phone and you can't listen to the radio because it's mirroring your phone. That is the biggest problem this has. Okay. So if you want to use Waze and if you want to listen to your radio, you're going to have to hook up this to your data Wi-Fi hotspot on your phone. If you want to do Waze on your phone, you won't be able to listen to the radio. Now, I'm going to start it up and you can get an idea how long this thing takes to connect, because it doesn't do it in 15, 20, and 30 seconds. So we're about 3 minutes into this video, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. The boot logo, you can load any logo you want. They were nice enough to send me that logo and explain to me how to put it in. Okay, my phone is here waiting for the connection. It flashes off and on several times while the connection is happening. Sometimes it does good, and this is just for there because you click and nothing. Sometimes it's good and connects relatively quick, and when I mean quick, I mean like within, a minute. And sometimes it could take 3 minutes. Sometimes it won't connect at all. Okay. Now, let me go over here. This Waze is part of the radio. I can tell because it has the real big lettering. Okay. So if you try and search for an address or something, it won't come up. It won't come up because it has no internet. So if I try and do, say, Miami, it gives me no results because it's using the Waze that's part of the head unit and it's not connected to the internet. Okay, now when it does connect to your phone, it'll mirror your phone. So basically, it looks like you're using your phone. Now, this is not See, it says connecting. Okay. There is no Android Auto. If you go here and you click on apps, you can see all the apps. But again, you have to have Wi-Fi in order for these apps to work. Okay? That Waze is part of the radio app. That Z-Link is basically a bootleg Android Auto. There is no Android Auto on here. And it's just, it is what it is. So they're really not being truthful when they say it has Android Auto. No, it doesn't. And there's no Apple CarPlay either, as you can see. So they're still not connected. You can hear this one ringing that is still trying to connect. And it's going to do so wirelessly, but I can also plug it into the wire and it'll connect quicker. Now, if you want to mirror this, I can hit the Android Auto fake, or I can hit the phone link. But until it connects, it doesn't do it. I'll show you now. See, it's still waiting to connect. It's still waiting to connect. Now, I can go to radio, and I can listen to the radio, and I can go to the Waze that's in the system, and I can pull up Waze. But remember, it's offline. Okay, but it's still playing the radio. However, I've got to use my Wi-Fi hotspot and burn up my Wi-Fi hotspot data. And if I connect to my phone, it will mirror it. Here's the phone link. I'm going to try and do it. You see how it goes right back to that? It'll mirror it. And then I can use data on my Waze. It will be interactive. Everything will work. Except the moment I go to radio, it knocks it off. And I can hear the radio, but I can't see my Waze map. I can hear the prompts because they're Bluetooth, but I can't hear it. Now, here it's taken quite a bit of time, over 3 minutes. I'm gonna see if I can check my settings on my phone. And if we look here, it'll say Wi-Fi low quality, Bluetooth, multiple devices. When I click on my Bluetooth, it's gonna show the radio unit and the smart box, which is the dongle. Okay, and then I'm gonna go here to Wi-Fi, and it's gonna show the smart box. Okay, so it just hasn't connected yet. And like I said, sometimes it can take a minute or two, and sometimes it connects relatively long, 3, 4, 5 minutes. The most aggravating thing is that you're driving down the street, and if you're going for a long drive, 2-3 hour trip, all of a sudden, middle of the trip, 2 or 3 times during the trip, it'll get knocked offline and it won't connect. At which point, what you can do is you could go to settings, user settings, and then save and reboot the radio. Let's see now if it decides it wants to grab. I know the sun's shining in, but trust me, the screen does have glare. The resolution and colors are not there. The easiest way to explain it is if you go out and you buy yourself a nice high quality tablet, and then you go out and buy yourself a cheap $100 tablet. The difference is easily seen. So now that is the Waze that's part of the head unit. While we wait for it to connect, another aggravating thing is if you do have the Wi-Fi feeding this unit and you start your Waze here, all of a sudden you're going to get mixed messages that you already have Waze running in a different in another unit, which is basically this radio. So it'll be jumping back and forth between the two Waze, which one you want to use. And if you tell it use the cell phone, then it'll shut this one off, but then it keeps popping up over and over. So the only way to fix it is to literally delete it off the radio or shut it down. Let's see if I could get it to link, because it's taking forever. Let me look at my cell phone. I just saw it flash. So maybe it's still trying to connect. It's still not connecting. Oh, there it is. It finally connected. Okay, so it's connected. It's wireless. So it finally did connect. Took about 4 minutes. And now this is the Waze on my cell phone. If I try and play Waze, it'll say using Waze on Android Auto, check your card screen. Okay, so if you want to go to full size screen, we could hit the little Waze button, make it full size screen. Now this one I know because it's the cell phones, because it has my iHeartRadio and so forth. Okay, and what you're listening to right now is iHeart. If I go to enter something, where to, this is the screen you get. Very tiny screen compared to the screen on the Waze. Let me turn the truck around, because this glare is really bad. So you can imagine driving with it. Okay. You can see the glare. Now, this is the Waze on my phone. You can see how small it is. Forget about trying to do anything while you're driving, although you shouldn't be doing anything while you're driving. You should absolutely not. So I'm not saying you should. But you can see how small it is. It's easy to hit the wrong button, and back it down is really difficult. But now I'm using Waze on my cell phone. Even for the volume, there it is. And now, I believe what I was listening to was the radio, because it just shut off. If I go to iHeart, no, I don't have a cell phone signal here, so we were listening to iHeart. But I'll give you this sample right here. I'm going to go to radio, and I'm going to find a radio station. Okay, so there's the radio. Okay, now the navigation is here, right? So if I go to navigation here, I'm using Waze from the radio unit. Okay, so right here, it's there's no data. So and you see how big the numbers are. If I do Miami, it's not going to find any results. So right now, Waze is not interactive. It's not interactive because it's not connected. Okay? But I want to use this Waze over here. See, it says using Waze on Android Auto. So you either go to Phone Link which is basically mirroring it. Or you can go to your app and do the Z-Link, which is Android Auto, their hack. Okay, so I'm gonna hit phone link, and what it did was phone link connected me to my Waze. Okay, but the radio went off. Okay, if I want to hear the radio and Waze, I got to use the Waze on the system, and I got to use my Wi-Fi hotspot. If I want to use the Waze on my phone so I don't have to deal with the Wi-Fi hotspot data because I got unlimited on my phone, then I got to use iHeart. And iHeart is coming in now. I have no cell phone signal here, none. So if you live in the city, then you don't have a problem, and you don't mind streaming, you don't have a problem. But if you want to listen to the radio, and you're out here in the sticks, then you got a little bit of a problem, because the moment you lose your cell phone tower, you lose your stream. Now your Waze will still work because the data is loaded in there. So the only thing you won't be able to do is maybe send a report that there's a cop parked here or whatever. But because all the data is already previously entered, by the time you regain cell phone tower, you're not going to really miss anything. It's going to go over. Now, you got to keep this in mind. I was out in the middle of the boonies, and what happened? The damn connection lost. Okay? And I couldn't reload Waze from my cell phone because I had no connection. So basically, I had to use Waze offline till I found a signal again. So, the amount of money that this is, all you're getting is something that looks fancy. It has a big screen. You can see there's a lot of glare. It's not really good definition. There's bugs between the hardware side, which is the radio, and the software side of the mirroring. In other words, you can't mirror it and use your radio, and that's a problem, and you can't use your radio and use your apps unless you use your data off your phone. That is a software problem with this. Now, on a good thing is, if you look at the settings, there's a lot of user settings on here. Wheel settings for your steering wheel, equalizer. It's a shame because the radio's halfway decent. There's a lot of settings on here. Dimmers, it's all there. You go back to your home screen, your air conditioner. I don't really like it too much. I really prefer the knobs, but hey, it's all digital there, and it works as it should. There's more settings. That's settings here, but there's also a vehicle settings. So you can go into your vehicle settings and do all sorts of stuff for your headlight delays. How do you make this bigger? I know. Well, I can't remember right now, but you can do all sorts of settings here. Now, just because it's here doesn't mean your truck has it. Okay? If your truck has these, it'll go. Like your trailer brakes and so forth, it'll go. As an example, there's a setting for windshield wipers to turn on when it's raining. My truck doesn't have that option. And if I turn it on, my windshield wipers will still work. However, the delay won't work anymore. So it just turns on, low speed, high speed, the delay doesn't work. So you got to be careful with the settings on here. The manual the instructions are almost non-existent. The plugs that would control the climate control are left unplugged, and they don't tell you that. There's a special CAN bus unit that plugs into one of the plugs, and that CAN bus unit, when you tell the air conditioner to do whatever through here, goes through the CAN bus unit, and then it sends a signal through the wiring to your truck's computer. So you're left wondering, where do these plugs go? Where do these plugs go? They go nowhere. They just stay there. For the most part, the air conditioning controls are good. There's quite a bit of settings on here. You name it, it's there. There's the Bluetooth works well while you're connected to your cell phone via Wi-Fi or wireless like I am, and you have Bluetooth and everything. If you get a message on Messenger or a text, it will display it, and then you hit play and it'll play the message for you. If you're not on mirroring your phone and you're on the unit itself, you're not going to see that message. Okay, so there's a lot of software issues with this phone. It is just at $700. I regret the minute I ran into all these problems and I realized that there was no fix, and going back and forth with tech support, it was a waste, and I was beyond my time limit. When I received it, I didn't touch it for the first 2 weeks because I was out on business, and then it ended up being too late and I got stuck with it. It's just not a good deal. There's other units that are smaller but wider. They're about this wide, and the screen comes out to the edges, and you keep your regular air conditioner controls. I think that would probably work better. I've seen some more reviews, and I think those will work better. One thing to note is that this doesn't have an official Android Auto. They advertise it as Android Auto and Apple Play. I highly doubt, I haven't tried it with Apple Play, but I highly doubt the Apple Play is any better or is a licensed copy. While the specs are good on this radio, which is 4 gigs of RAM and whatever else it was on there, more than the other ones, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So don't be offset by the 4 gigs of RAM and whatever compared to other units that may have 2 gigs of RAM. You can have all the RAM you want. If the software and the hardware are clashing, it doesn't work. One last thing is this has Android 9. Android, and it probably, I hate to say this, but considering the other units, the other software things are non-licensed, I wouldn't doubt it that this Android software operating system is a copy as well. And Android Auto really didn't start doing well till Android, I believe it was 11 or 12. That's when it was really fully automated and was really working really good. It's a shame. It looks good. The resolution could be better, but the hardware and software problems this has just doesn't make it ideal. Not to mention the fact that it knocks offline, not to mention the fact that sometimes it could take 3 minutes, 4 minutes to link up. It's just not all there. One last thing that I hesitated with was mine had the basic radio and they said it was plug and play. It wasn't. I had to trim material off the sides. Now I don't know if the RAMs that came with the bigger radios, the brackets are different and maybe it fit, but it didn't. Mine also had the rear view camera here. Well, the plug is different. I had to buy a $45 adapter, which they did reimburse me for it. Evidently they weren't aware that the basic tradesman didn't have that type of plug, so it didn't plug into it. I had to buy an adapter. Now I see my rear view camera here and up here. I don't mind that it's still there. I can easily disconnect that so it wouldn't show it, but I don't care if it has a double screen, so I left it that way. This does have multiple outputs for more cameras, so I'm going to install a small camera on the rear cargo third brake light where I can drill a small hole, pop it in there, run the wiring through the headliner and plug it in. That way I can keep an eye on whatever's in the truck bed by selecting it. But overall, this unit needs a lot of work. It just needs so much improvement, and it was a waste of my money. I don't want it to be a waste of y'all's money as well. So I would go elsewhere and shop elsewhere and look at anything other than this unit. If this was a $100-$200 unit, I'd say, well, you know, you can live with it. You know, you get used to streaming iHeart and so forth. But it's nice to have the radio and not have to worry about all that. So here is again the Waze part of the head unit. There's the radio, and there's